So I love this because a lot of coaches that we work with utilize training peaks, but not for the performance testing side of things. So that's where we come into play, is if a coach is working with an athlete or just an athlete in general is utilizing training peaks, they're able to utilize our performance testing here for the profiling to identify limitations that are going to work in their training program. We are also able to track throughout the training program from training peaks. We're able to track and adjust what needs to change based on fueling plan, race plan, change over time throughout that training season. A lot of coaches will utilize our testing, our performance testing, to get to know their athlete, much like a medical professional starts with an examination. A coach is going to use a performance test to get to know their athlete so that they can create these programs the best way possible. Once that coach can identify the limiting factors from an athlete based on what their goal is, let's say they need their VO2 to increase, or they're a sprint or short distance athlete and they need their VLamax or that, anaerobic power to increase. From the performance test, they're able to create a more appropriate and specific training plan for their athlete. And it doesn't have to be just training peaks. It can be different platforms, but the performance test is that foundation for heart rate training zones, pace, wattage, all of that information, even from a beginning athlete to an experienced elite. Athletes with coaches and without coaches will do this performance test multiple times throughout the year, throughout different training cycles. If they're doing full distance, half distance, sprint races. And what we're able to identify is, did the previous training program, did that cycle result in the preferred adaptations? Or what do we need to focus on next? Are things trending in the right direction, or are we starting to see something lag or lack when it should be increasing? It can get tricky if you're not identifying all of the metrics that we can with our performance testing, because, for example, you could see improvement in your FTP, and that's great, but also, is your VO2 increasing, or are you sacrificing your aerobic base for pure power? So you want to make sure that each metric is adjusting and adapting appropriately based on what your goal is. We also want to make sure that you're fueling appropriately throughout each training cycle and race cycle. So to get more information, please reach out to us, but you get all of the information to help build the best training program.